The opulent halls of the Rogare Bank, usually abuzz with whispers of fortunes made and lost, stood eerily silent. Gone were the wealthy merchants, the haughty lords, and the lavish displays of wealth. Only the echo of fear lingered, a chilling premonition of the storm to come. Whispers of financial instability surrounding House Rogare, the once untouchable masters of coin, began to circulate in the shadowy corners of Lys. Then those whispers became shouts. Magisters, their faces etched with worry and anger, demanded the return of their deposits. Merchant princes, their fortunes tied to the bank's fate, clamored for reassurance, but the assurances never came. The coffers, once overflowing, were practically bare. At the heart of this maelstrom stood Lissaro Rogare, the patriarch of the house. Under the cover of darkness, he boarded a ship bound for parts unknown, leaving behind his family, his legacy, and the city of Lys teetering on the brink of chaos. The spider, as he was known, had spun his last web. News of Lissaro's flight spread through Lys like wildfire. The city descended into chaos. The Rogare Bank, its vaults now empty, stood as a monument to betrayal. The magisterium moved swiftly. They seized the Rogare Bank and all remaining assets. The opulent manse of House Rogare was surrounded. Lissaro's family faced the city's fury. Lady Lara, once a jewel of Lycene society, was now a prisoner. Their children, accustomed to privilege, were now hostages. The family name had become a mark of shame. The legacy of House Rogare was crumbling. There were whispers of escape, of desperate plans. The once mighty House Rogare was trapped, their fate hanging by a thread. The downfall of House Rogare sent shockwaves across the narrow sea, reaching the shores of Westeros. In the Red Keep, King Aegon IV Targaryen received the news with a mixture of amusement and anger. The Rogare Bank had been a source of vast loans for the Iron Throne, loans that were now in serious jeopardy. The king, known for his extravagance and short temper, demanded action. Lord Hightower, the hand of the king, urged restraint, advising a more measured approach, but the king, never one for patience, dispatched Sir Marston Waters of the Kingsguard to Lys with a simple order: retrieve the stolen gold or bring him the heads of the Rogare family. The news of Sir Marston's arrival in Lys sent shivers down the spines of the remaining Rogares. The Iron Throne was coming for its due, and neither the high walls of Lys nor the cunning of the Rogares would be enough to stop it. As Sir Marston and his men sailed across the narrow sea, the news of House Rogare's downfall reached even the most distant corners of Westeros. From the windswept shores of Dawn to the frozen wastelands beyond the Wall, the tale was told and retold. In the taverns and marketplaces, common folk whispered of the Rogare curse, a fitting end for a family that had amassed its fortune through usury and deceit. The Iron Bank of Braavos saw in the Rogare downfall a chance to further solidify its own position as the preeminent financial power in the world. With the Rogare Bank in ruins, the Iron Bank wasted no time in calling in debts and extending its influence. But it was within the Red Keep where the ramifications of the Rogare downfall were felt most keenly. King Aegon IV, his coffers already depleted, grew increasingly volatile, obsessed with reclaiming what he believed to be rightfully his. Sir Marston Waters, his ship cutting through the azure waters of the narrow sea, was a man on a mission. He had served in the Kingsguard for over 2 decades, witnessing the excesses and follies of the Targaryen dynasty. He had seen kings rise and fall, felt the sting of betrayal and the weight of duty. Upon arriving in Lys, Sir Marston wasted no time in making his presence known. He marched into the city with his men, their armor glinting in the midday sun. Sir Marston, a man of action, cut through their diplomatic platitudes with characteristic bluntness. He had come for the stolen gold and would not leave empty-handed. Word of Sir Marston's arrival reached the ears of the remaining Rogare family members like a death knell. They had been living under house arrest, their movements restricted, their fate uncertain. Now, with the king's justice breathing down their necks, they knew that their time was running out. Lady Lara, her beauty fading under the weight of fear and uncertainty, clung to the hope that her children might yet escape the clutches of the Iron Throne. Meanwhile, in the Red Keep, another player was about to enter the game. Prince Viserys Targaryen, the king's younger brother, saw in the Rogare crisis an opportunity to advance his own ambitions. With the king's blessing, Viserys set sail for Lys, accompanied by a small retinue of loyal men. The game was about to take a deadly turn, and the players were converging on Lys, their destinies intertwined with the fate of a fallen house. The arrival of Prince Viserys in Lys did little to quell the unrest. If anything, it heightened the tension. The city, once a beacon of trade and prosperity, was now a powder keg, primed to explode. The Magisters, caught between the demands of the Iron Throne and the simmering resentment of their own people, feared for their own safety. Within the confines of the Rogare manse, Lady Lara and her children received a visit from an unexpected guest. Sandok the Shadow, a legendary sellsword renowned for his skill with a blade and his discretion, offered them a way out. For a price, of course. Back in the Red Keep, King Aegon IV, oblivious to the chaos unfolding across the narrow sea, continued his descent into paranoia and debauchery. The realm, once strong and united, was teetering on the brink of chaos. Sir Marston Waters, ever the dutiful knight, had little patience for the political machinations swirling around him. He had been tasked with a mission: retrieve the stolen gold or bring the heads of the Rogare family back to King Aegon. And that was precisely what he intended to do. Prince Viserys, eager to prove his worth and further his own ambitions, saw in Sir Marston a rival for the king's favour. He believed that he, a Targaryen prince, should be the one to bring the Rogares to justice, not some aging warrior. Meanwhile, within the besieged Rogare manse, Lady Lara was faced with an impossible choice. She could surrender to the Iron Throne, throwing herself and her children upon the mercy of a king known for his cruelty. Or she could trust in Sandok the Shadow, a man whose loyalty could be bought but never guaranteed. The game was reaching its climax, and the stakes had never been higher. Sandok the Shadow, true to his name, moved through the labyrinthine corridors of the Rogare manse like a phantom. His price for safe passage out of Lys was high, a king's ransom in gold and jewels, but Lady Lara, desperate to save her children, agreed without hesitation. Under the cloak of darkness, Sandok led Lady Lara and her children through a secret tunnel, a hidden escape route built into the very foundations of the city. They moved silently, their footsteps muffled by the damp earth, the weight of their impending escape heavy on their hearts. As they made their way through the darkness, they could hear the sounds of commotion above. Sir Marston Waters, relentless in his pursuit, had discovered the escape route, and he was hot on their trail. The game was far from over, and for Lady Lara and her children, the stakes had just been raised. The escape of Lady Lara and her children sent shockwaves through the city of Lys. Sir Marston Waters, his face a mask of fury, realized that he had been outmaneuvered. He had underestimated the cunning of the Rogares and the reach of their influence even in their downfall. Prince Viserys, his pride wounded by his failure to apprehend the fleeing family, saw in the incident an opportunity to further discredit Sir Marston. He accused the Kingsguard Knight of incompetence, even suggesting that he had conspired with the Rogares to allow their escape. News of the Rogares' escape reached King Aegon in the Red Keep, throwing him into a rage. The king, his mind poisoned by suspicion and fueled by his own insecurities, lashed out at anyone within his reach. The legacy of House Rogare, it seemed, had cast a long shadow over the Seven Kingdoms, one that threatened to consume even the Iron Throne itself. The saga of House Rogare, though seemingly concluded with the family's escape from Lys, had far-reaching consequences. The Iron Throne, already burdened by debt and weakened by internal strife, found itself in a precarious position. King Aegon IV, consumed by paranoia and suspicion, withdrew further into himself, his trust in his own family and advisors shattered. The realm, once vibrant and prosperous, began to show signs of strain, the seeds of discontent sown by the Rogare crisis taking root. The escape of Lady Lara and her children remained a point of contention between Prince Viserys and Sir Marston Waters. The tale of House Rogare became a cautionary reminder for the ruling elite of Westeros, a stark illustration of the fleeting nature of power and the perils of unchecked ambition. The fall of House Rogare, though seemingly a distant event, had set in motion a chain of events that would forever alter the course of history.